The crystalline chamber stretched beyond comprehension, a massive sphere floating in the darkness between stars. Inside, holographic platforms held representatives from 300 alien species, their forms ranging from towering gas-based entities to microscopic swarm intelligences projected onto viewing screens. The air itself hummed with translation fields, converting thousands of languages into coherent meaning. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood alone on the accused platform, a circular disk of hard light suspended in the center of it all. Every species in the chamber had their attention focused on him. The weight of their collective gaze would have crushed most diplomats within minutes. Marcus stood perfectly still, his hands clasped behind his back, his expression neutral. High Chancellor Vorn of the Kawathi Empire loomed on the largest platform, his crystalline body refracting light into rainbow patterns across the chamber walls. His voice boomed through the translation field, a sound that felt like grinding stone and shattering ice combined. Human Representative Marcus Webb, Vorn began, his words echoing from every direction. You stand before the Galactic Council, charged with 17 violations of treaty law. Your species has operated unauthorized mining facilities in contested zones. You have constructed military installations without proper documentation. Most severe of all, surveillance has detected weapons of extinction-level classification hidden throughout your home system. Holographic displays materialized around Marcus, showing damning evidence. Weapon platforms disguised as satellites, missile arrays hidden in asteroid hollows, energy cannons mounted on what appeared to be civilian stations. Each image was time-stamped, verified, impossible to deny. These violations, Vorn continued, represent a direct threat to galactic stability. The Council has deliberated. You have 72 hours to surrender all military assets to Council oversight. Earth will submit to permanent monitoring. Failure to comply will result in complete economic embargo, military blockade, and potential orbital strikes against your major population centers. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Several alien representatives gestured their approval, their various appendages creating patterns of light and shadow. Marcus remained motionless. He did not argue. He did not plead. He simply waited. Vorn leaned forward, his crystalline face catching the chamber's ambient light. Do you understand these terms, human? I understand them completely, Marcus said quietly. His voice carried clearly, despite its softness, the translation field amplifying his words to every corner of the chamber. Then you accept? I did not say that. Marcus raised his head, meeting Vorn's gaze directly. Something in his expression made several nearby representatives shift uncomfortably. I request permission to present one final piece of evidence before the Council passes final judgment. Vorn's crystalline body flickered with annoyance. The evidence against you is conclusive. What could you possibly show that would change the facts? Marcus smiled. It was a cold expression, calculated and precise. I would like to show the Council what humanity has been doing for the past decade while you are watching us so carefully. The chamber fell silent. Vorn gestured grudgingly. You have 5 minutes. Marcus activated his wrist display. The holographic projections of Earth's weapons vanished, replaced by new images. These showed not Earth, but dozens of different worlds. Alien worlds. The homeworlds of species sitting in this very chamber. The first image showed a Kwarathi military installation on their fortress moon. The timestamp read 3 days ago. The image cycled to show interior schematics, personnel rosters, and weapon specifications. All classified. All supposedly secure behind the Kwarathi Empire's legendary cyber. Defenses. The next image showed a Vixel Concordat research facility where they were developing biological weapons in direct violation of the Treaty of Keros. The image included video footage of test subjects, budget allocations, and communications between Vexel leadership authorizing the project. More images followed. The Thorian hegemony's secret fleet hidden in a nebula. The Draconer Union's illegal mining operations in protected heritage sites. The Manthurian Empire's experiments with banned AI technology. Every major power represented in the council chambers appeared on the display, their secrets exposed in clinical detail. Chaos erupted. Representatives shouted at each other in dozens of languages. The translation field struggled to keep up, creating overlapping echoes of accusation and denial. Vorn slammed his appendage against his platform, creating a sound like thunder. Silence. The chamber quieted, though hostility crackled in the air like static electricity. Vorn turned back to Marcus, his body now pulsing with angry red light. How did you obtain this information? The same way you obtained information about Earth, Marcus replied calmly. We watched. We listened. We learned. He gestured to the surrounding aliens. For the past decade, while the Council was so focused on containing humanity, we were studying you. Every species in this chamber. We know your military capabilities. We know your economic vulnerabilities. We know your political fractures and your hidden alliances. We know everything. You dare to threaten the Council? Vorn's voice dropped to a dangerous rumble. I am not threatening anyone, Marcus said. I am simply providing context. You have given us an ultimatum. Surrender or face destruction. I am here to present your options with complete information. Our options? A representative from the Vexel Concordat spoke up, its serpentine form coiling in agitation. You are one species. We are 300. You cannot dictate terms to us. Marcus turned to face the speaker. I can present reality. Option 1. The Council withdraws all charges and grants Earth full sovereignty as an independent power. In exchange, humanity keeps this information private. Your governments remain stable. Your treaties remain intact. And Option 2? Vorn asked coldly. Option 2. You proceed with your current plan. You embargo us, blockade us, perhaps even attack us. And in response, we release everything we have learned to public channels across the galaxy. Every secret, every treaty violation, every hidden weapon, every illegal operation. Marcus paused. How long do you think the Council will maintain authority after that? How long before your own citizens start asking questions about what their governments have been hiding? The chamber erupted again. Representatives shouted accusations at each other, old grudges surfacing in the wake of exposed secrets. The unity that had existed moments ago, shattered like brittle glass. Vorn raised his appendage for silence once more, but this time it took much longer for order to return. When he spoke, his voice carried barely restrained fury. You mentioned 2 options, human. You hesitated before describing the second. That suggests there is a third. Marcus met his gaze steadily. The chamber held its breath. There is, Marcus admitted. Speak it. Marcus let the silence stretch for 3 long seconds. When he finally spoke, his voice was quiet, but every being in the chamber heard him clearly. We fight. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. Several representatives made sounds of disbelief. Others went completely still. You would wage war against 300 species? Vorn asked, his tone suggesting he could not believe what he was hearing. We would defend our sovereignty against anyone who threatens it, Marcus corrected. Make no mistake, High Chancellor, Earth does not want war. We came to this chamber in good faith, believing the Council represented justice and order. Instead, we found an empire that rules through intimidation and maintains power through secrets. He gestured to the holographic evidence still floating in the chamber. Every species here has violated the same laws you accuse us of breaking. The difference is that we are honest about our capabilities. We built defenses because we learned what happens to species who trust the Council's protection. You absorb them. You control them. You erase their independence until they become nothing more than client states. That is not true, Vorn protested, but his words lacked conviction. Is it not? Marcus spread his hands. Then why does the Draconer Union maintain their secret fleet? Why do the Vexel develop forbidden weapons? Because they know the truth. The Council does not protect. It controls. And species who want to survive maintain hidden strength. Vorn's crystalline body pulsed with competing colors, a sign of deep agitation. You have 72 hours, he finally said. The Council will deliberate on your ... presentation. But know this, human. If you have miscalculated, if you have overestimated your position, Earth will face consequences beyond your imagination. Marcus bowed slightly. We understand. And you should understand something as well. Humanity did not come to the stars to submit. We came to stand as equals. The age of empires dictating terms to free worlds ends here. He deactivated his display. The evidence vanished, but everyone in the chamber had already recorded it. 72 hours, Marcus repeated. We will be waiting for your decision. The platform lowered, carrying Marcus toward the exit. As he descended, he could hear the council chamber dissolving into argument behind him. Ancient alliances fractured. Trust evaporated. The carefully maintained order began to crumble. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. The countdown had begun. The timer on the wall of the command bunker read 58 hours and 17 m. In Utes, General Diana Torres stood before a holographic display of the solar system, watching red markers track the movements of council ships positioning themselves beyond the heliopause. 3,000 warships from 6 different species, all waiting for the deadline to expire. They are really coming, Colonel James Park said from his station. Our long-range sensors confirm fleet movements. The Quarathi battle groups are taking point positions. The Vexel carriers are deploying fighter screens. Diana did not take her eyes from the display. Expected. Vorn cannot back down now without losing face. He has spent 3 centuries building his reputation as the enforcer of council law. The bunker stretched beneath the Atlantic Ocean, a facility built during the early days of Earth's first contact with galactic civilization. Back then, humanity had been naive, believing the council represented benevolent cooperation. That illusion had shattered quickly when they observed how the council actually operated. Status on Protocol Guardian? Diana asked. A technician looked up from her console. All defense platforms are active and hidden. Stealth coding is functioning at 97% effectiveness. The council sensors are reading them as asteroids or debris. Diana nodded. The weapons the council had discovered were real, but they were also obsolete. Earth had built them specifically to be found, to satisfy the council's expectations of what human defensive capabilities looked like. The actual defense network was something entirely different. What about the fleet? She continued. Captain Vasquez reports that all ships are in position. The crews are running final system checks. They are ready. Across the galaxy, diplomatic channels burned with activity. The evidence Marcus had presented to the council had created exactly the chaos humanity had anticipated. The Vexel Concordat had withdrawn its fleet from joint council operations, claiming they needed to address internal security concerns. The Thorian hegemony had demanded an emergency session to review all council activities from the past century. The Draconer Union had gone completely silent, their ambassadors recalling to their homeworld without explanation the council's unity, maintained through careful balance and mutual interest, had collapsed in less than 2 days. Diana's communication panel chimed. She activated it to see Marcus Webb's face appear on the screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "General," he said by way of greeting, "I am at the neutral station. They have me under what they call protective custody, but it is essentially house arrest. Are you safe?" Diana asked. "For now. The Council is too busy arguing among themselves to worry about one human diplomat." Marcus glanced over his shoulder, then lowered his voice. "I have received messages from 11 different species. Mid-tier powers mostly, ones who have been under Council domination for generations. They are asking if Earth would be willing to form alternative alliances. They see opportunity in the chaos," Diana observed. "They see a chance at independence," Marcus corrected. "The Council has ruled through fear for a long time. We have shown that fear has limits. Now everyone is wondering what else they have been lied to about." Diana pulled up a secondary display showing political analysis from their intelligence division. The reports confirmed what Marcus was saying. Across Council territory, member species were questioning their governments. Why had they submitted to Council oversight? What were their own leaders hiding? The revelation that every major power had been violating the same laws they enforced on others had shattered public trust. "It is working," Diana said quietly. "Better than we hoped. But it is also accelerating the timeline," Marcus warned. "Vorn knows he is losing control. That makes him dangerous. Desperate leaders make desperate decisions." The timer on the wall ticked down. 57 hours remaining. Diana switched to a tactical channel. "Captain Vasquez, are you receiving?" A new face appeared on the screen, younger than Diana, but with eyes that had seen combat. Elena Vasquez commanded the EDF Constellation, one of Earth's new generation warships. Her vessel and 200 others, like it, were currently hiding in the asteroid belt, using technology that should not exist yet. "Receiving, General. My squadron is running final checks on the quantum masking systems. The Council sensors are passing right over us. They have no idea we are here." "Good. Remember, when this starts, we need to control the engagement. Hit hard enough to make them stop, but not so hard that they cannot retreat." Elena smiled grimly. "Understood. We do not want to corner them. A trapped enemy fights to the death." Diana closed the channel and returned her attention to the solar system display. Earth looked so small from this perspective, a blue dot surrounded by the vast emptiness of space. Beyond it, 3,000 enemy warships waited to enforce the will of an empire that spanned half the galaxy. In her hand, Diana held the authorization codes for Earth's entire military arsenal. With a single command, she could activate weapons that the Council could not imagine. Humanity had spent decades studying galactic warfare, learning from every conflict, analyzing every technology. They had found patterns, weaknesses, gaps in doctrine that came from centuries of using the same strategies. Council thought in terms of overwhelming force. They believed that numerical superiority guaranteed victory. They had forgotten what it meant to fight against an enemy who refused to follow established rules. Her communication panel chimed again. This time it was Secretary General Thomas Rivera, calling from the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva. His face appeared on the screen, lined with stress but determined. "Diana, the Council has issued a statement. They are rejecting Marcus's evidence as fabricated. They claim we are trying to destabilize galactic peace. The propaganda networks are already spinning it as human aggression." "Expected," Diana said. "They cannot admit the truth without destroying their own authority." "The public is not buying it," Thomas continued. "At least not entirely. There are protests on 17 Council member worlds. People are demanding transparency from their governments. But Vorn has the military power to suppress dissent. He is moving forward with the ultimatum. Then we move forward with our plans." Diana pulled up the prepared statement they had written weeks ago, anticipating this exact scenario. "I am sending you the official Earth response. We need to broadcast it on all channels simultaneously. Every species needs to hear it at the same time. Thomas reviewed the text. His expression grew solemn. This is it then. Once we send this, there is no going back. There was never any going back, Diana replied. The moment we refused to submit, this became inevitable. The Council cannot allow defiance. They will come for us. The only question is whether we meet them as victims or as equals. Thomas nodded slowly. I will record the message now. We broadcast in 30 minutes. The channel closed. Diana looked around the command bunker at the men and women monitoring Earth's defenses. They were ready. Everything they had built, every weapon system, every strategic plan, every backup protocol, it all came down to the next 2 days. The countdown continued. 56 hours and 43 minutes. Diana opened a channel to all Earth military facilities simultaneously. Her voice carried to bases on Luna, Mars, the orbital stations, and the hidden fleet in the asteroid belt. This is General Torres. In 30 minutes, we broadcast our response to the Council's ultimatum. When we do, everything changes. The Council will interpret our refusal as an act of war. Their fleet will enter Sol System with authorization to use lethal force. But they will find us ready. They will find us united. And they will learn that humanity does not kneel to tyrants, no matter how powerful they claim to be. She paused, letting her words sink in. I know many of you are afraid. That is natural. We are one species facing an empire of 300. But remember this, they are counting on us to be afraid. They believe fear will make us submit. We are going to show them they are wrong. We are going to show the entire galaxy that free people will always fight harder than subjects following orders. Stay sharp. Trust your training. And remember that we fight not just for Earth, but for every species that has been crushed under the Council's rule. Torres out. 29 minutes later, Thomas Rivera's face appeared on every communication frequency in the galaxy. His message was brief and direct. People of the galactic community, I am Thomas Rivera, Secretary General of the United Earth Government. The Galactic Council has demanded that humanity surrender its sovereignty and submit to permanent oversight. They have threatened military action if we refuse. After careful consideration, Earth's response is this: we refuse. He paused, letting the words hang in the transmission. The age of empires dictating terms to independent worlds is over. Humanity declares itself a free and sovereign power. We do not seek war with any species. We desire peaceful cooperation and mutual respect. But we will not submit to tyranny disguised as order. We will not surrender our freedom to an authority that maintains power through intimidation and enforces laws it does not follow itself. To the Galactic Council, we say this: any vessel entering Sol System without authorization will be treated as a hostile invasion force. We have the right to defend our home. We have the capability to do so. The choice of war or peace rests with you. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, the reaction was instantaneous. Some species cheered. Others condemned Earth's defiance. Still others watched in silence, wondering if humanity had just signed its own death warrant. In the command bunker, Diana watched the Council fleet begin its approach. 3,000 warships engaged their faster-than-light drives, traveling the impossible distances between stars. They would arrive at the edge of Sol System in approximately 28 hours. Diana activated the defense network. Throughout the solar system, hidden weapons came online. Crews moved to battle stations. Ships prepared for combat. The countdown reached 28 hours. Diana allowed herself one moment of doubt, one brief instant where she wondered if they had made the right choice. Then she pushed the doubt aside and focused on the tactical display. Humanity had drawn its line in the void. Now they would see if they could hold it The Council fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Sol system in a display of overwhelming force. 3,000 warships materialized in coordinated formations, their hulls gleaming in the distant light of Earth's sun. It was the largest military deployment in Council history, assembled to crush one defiant species. Fleet Commander Krell of the Manthurian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display. He was a veteran of 47 campaigns, a soldier who had brought order to rebellious sectors across 3 galactic arms. His mandibles clicked together in satisfaction as he surveyed his forces. "Sensor sweep," he ordered. His tactical officer, a young Manthurian named Vex, operated the controls with practiced efficiency. "Scanning now, Commander." Searching for Earth defense positions. Vex paused, his antennae twitching. "I am detecting ... nothing. No ships. No battle stations. The inner system appears undefended." Krell's mandibles clicked faster, a sign of suspicion. "That cannot be correct. They knew we were coming. Run a deep scan. Check for stealth signatures." The tactical display updated as more sophisticated sensors swept the system. This time, faint returns appeared throughout the asteroid belt and around the gas giants. Thousands of small objects that did not match standard astronomical profiles. "There," Vex said, highlighting the anomalies. "Unusual readings from the asteroid belt. The composition does not match natural formations, but the signatures are inconsistent with known ship designs." Krell studied the display. The objects were too small to be warships, too numerous to be defense platforms. "They are hiding something. Maintain defensive formations and proceed inward. All ships, weapons charged, and shields at maximum." The fleet advanced slowly, every sensor focused on those strange readings in the asteroid belt. Krell had fought enough battles to recognize a trap when he saw one. The question was, what kind of trap humanity had prepared? They passed Jupiter's orbit without incident. Then Saturn's. The mysterious objects in the asteroid belt grew closer on the tactical display, but still refused to resolve into identifiable signatures. "Commander," Vex said nervously, "those readings are moving. They are tracking our approach." "All ships, combat alert," Krell ordered. "Prepare for engagement." That was when Earth sprung its ambush. The asteroids that had been drifting lazily through the belt suddenly accelerated. Thousands of them, all at once, moving with the precision of guided missiles. Except they were not asteroids. They were ships. The stealth coating deactivated, revealing hulls that gleamed with exotic alloys. Human warships, smaller than Council vessels, but vastly more numerous, surrounded the fleet from every direction. They had been hiding in plain sight, their energy signatures masked to mimic natural space debris. "Evasive maneuvers," Krell shouted, but it was already too late. The human ships opened fire simultaneously. Railguns launched projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed, turning kinetic energy into devastating impacts. Council shields, designed to stop energy weapons, proved useless against solid matter moving at relativistic velocities. Ships buckled and tore as metal punched through hulls. Then came the drone swarms. Clouds of tiny autonomous weapons separated from the human vessels, guided by quantum-linked artificial intelligence that made them act as a single distributed mind. They wove through Council formations, targeting weak points, coordinating attacks with inhuman precision. Krell's flagship shuddered as impacts struck the shields. Alarms blared across the bridge. "Return fire," he commanded. "All weapons, target those ships." The Council fleet responded with overwhelming firepower. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled the space between ships, creating a deadly light show visible across the solar system. Human vessels took hits, their shields flaring and failing. Several exploded, consumed by Council weapons. But for every human ship destroyed, they eliminated 3 Council vessels. The smaller Earth ships proved impossibly agile, dodging attacks that should have been unavoidable. Their acceleration exceeded anything in the Council database. How are they moving like that? Vex demanded, watching a human cruiser execute a turn that should have liquefied its crew from the G-forces. Gravity manipulation, Krell realized with horror. They are using localized gravity fields to achieve acceleration without inertia. That technology was deemed theoretically impossible. Apparently, the humans did not read that assessment, Vex muttered. The battle raged for 17 minutes. The Council's numerical advantage meant nothing when they could not bring their full force to bear. The human ships struck from multiple vectors, never allowing the Council fleet to concentrate fire. It was like fighting smoke. Then a transmission cut through the tactical channels. A woman's voice, calm despite the chaos of battle. Council forces. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our territory without authorization. You have attacked our home. We are prepared to continue this engagement until your fleet is destroyed, but we would prefer not to. Surrender now. Power down your weapons and withdraw to the edge of the system. All personnel will be returned unharmed once this crisis is resolved. Krell's mandibles clicked in fury. They dare offer us terms? We outnumber them 5-1. Commander, Vex said quietly, we have lost 400 ships. They have lost 70. At this rate, they will achieve tactical superiority within the hour. Krell stared at the tactical display. It went against everything in his military training to consider retreat. But Vex was right. The mathematics were undeniable. Negative, he transmitted back to Captain Vasquez. The Council does not negotiate with treaty violators. We will continue engagement until you surrender unconditionally. He cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Activate the planet killer. Target Earth directly. If we cannot defeat their fleet, we will force their surrender by threatening their homeworld. Across the fleet, the massive dreadnought designated as the planet killer began its charging sequence. The ship was 3 times larger than any other vessel present, built for a single purpose, cracking terrestrial worlds. Its main weapon could penetrate planetary crust and trigger catastrophic seismic events, rendering a planet uninhabitable within hours. Human sensors detected the energy buildup immediately. Captain Vasquez watched from her command chair as the planet killer's weapon systems came online. They are really going to do it, her tactical officer said, disbelief in his voice. They are going to target Earth. Elena's jaw tightened. She had hoped the Council would see reason. Apparently, hope was not enough. All ships fall back to defensive positions around Earth. She opened a private channel to her engineering section. Lieutenant Hayes, activate Protocol Omega. Captain, are you certain? We have never tested that weapon at full power. I am certain. Do it now. A single human vessel detached from the main fleet. It was smaller than the others, no larger than a frigate, but its power output climbed rapidly, energy readings spiking to levels that should have melted its hull. Krell noticed the ship immediately. What is that vessel doing? All weapons, target it now. Council ships poured fire at the small human vessel, but it accelerated away from their attacks, moving faster than anything they had seen yet. It streaked toward the planet killer on an intercept course. That ship is going to ram us, the planet killer's captain transmitted, deploying point defense systems. But the human ship was not trying to ram them. It was carrying something far worse. The vessel's cargo bay opened, ejecting a small device that looked almost insignificant compared to the massive warships around it. The device activated, generating a quantum singularity, a microscopic artificial black hole. The effect was instantaneous and catastrophic. The black hole's gravity well expanded rapidly, pulling everything nearby toward its event horizon. The planet killer, unable to maneuver quickly enough, was caught in the gravitational field. Its hull crumpled like paper as tidal forces tore it apart. 300 surrounding Council ships were drawn into the maelstrom, their crews screaming final transmissions before being crushed to atomic particles. Then, just as suddenly, the black hole evaporated in a burst of Hawking radiation, its microscopic mass unable to sustain itself. The explosion of energy vaporized debris for thousands of kilometers in every dir. ECTION. When the sensors cleared, the planet killer was gone. So were all the ships that had been near it. Krell stared at the tactical display in shock. One weapon. One ship. 400 vessels eliminated in seconds. Commander, Vex said softly, recommend immediate withdrawal. This time, Krell did not argue. All ships, cease fire and fall back to rally point. Transmit surrender codes to Earth forces. The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. The surviving Council ships powered down their weapons and retreated to the edge of the system, where human vessels escorted them under guard. Elena Vasquez allowed herself to breathe for the first time in 20 minutes. They had won. Against overwhelming odds, Earth had defended itself. But as she looked at the casualty reports, she felt no triumph. 73 human ships destroyed. Over 4,000 crew members dead. And this was just the beginning. The Council would not forget this defeat. Within hours, news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy at light speed. The response was immediate and dramatic. 16 member species withdrew from the Galactic Council, citing loss of confidence in the Council's leadership. 8 more declared official neutrality, refusing to participate in any further military action against humanity. And 5 major powers, including the powerful Draconer Union, formally recognized Earth as an independent sovereign nation. The Council's authority, maintained through 3 centuries of careful political maneuvering, collapsed overnight. In the command bunker beneath the Atlantic. General Diana Torres watched the reports flood in. They had achieved something impossible. One species had stood against an empire and won. But as she looked at the strategic projections, she knew the real challenge was just beginning. The Council was broken, but not destroyed. And broken things were often the most dangerous. The Galactic Council chamber looked very different than it had 5 days ago. Where 300 species had once sat in unified judgment, now barely half that number remained. Empty platforms drifted in the crystalline sphere, silent monuments to collapsed alliances. The translation field hummed with a fraction of its former activity. High Chancellor Vorn stood on his platform, his crystalline body pulsing with angry colors. Around him, the remaining Council loyalists waited in tense silence. They knew what was coming. We have received formal declarations from 32 more species, Vorn announced, his voice lacking its former authority. They are withdrawing from Council jurisdiction. The Draconer Union has gone further, recognizing the human government as a legitimate sovereign power and establishing formal diplomatic relations. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Draconer were one of the Council's founding members, a military power that had helped establish galactic order centuries ago. Their defection represented a fundamental shift in the balance of power. This is humanity's fault, a Vexel representative hissed, its serpentine form coiling in agitation. They exposed our classified operations. They destroyed our unity. They must be punished. How? Another voice called out. They defeated our fleet. 3,000 ships could not force one planet to surrender. Then we used different weapons, Vorn said quietly. The chamber fell silent, all attention focused on him. There are some technologies the Council has kept in reserve. Tools we swore never to deploy because of their destructive potential. But these are extraordinary circumstances. On Earth, Ambassador Marcus Webb sat in his quarters aboard the neutral station, reviewing intelligence reports from across the galaxy. The flow of information had become overwhelming in the days following the battle. Every species seemed to have an opinion on what humanity had accomplished, and most of those opinions came with proposals, threats, or warnings. His door chimed. Marcus looked up to see an unexpected visitor, Ambassador Kelleth, Fran of the Draconer Union. The Draconer was tall and vaguely humanoid, with metallic skin that caught the light in interesting patterns. Ambassador Webb, Kelleth said, her voice carrying a melodic quality. We need to talk about what comes next. Marcus gestured to a chair. I assume you are here about your government's decision to recognize Earth. Among other things. Kelleth sat gracefully. My people have watched the Council's authority erode for decades. We remained members because we believed the alternative was worse. Chaos, war, galactic fragmentation. But you have shown us something different, which is that order maintained through fear is not really order at all. It is just delayed rebellion. Kelleth leaned forward. The Council forced us into their alliance 2 centuries ago through economic coercion. They made it impossible for us to trade, to travel, to exist independently. We submitted because we saw no other choice. But you refused to submit, and you survived. That changes everything. Marcus considered her words carefully. You want to form a new alliance, one based on mutual cooperation rather than hierarchical control. Not just an alliance, a new galactic framework entirely. Kelleth pulled up a holographic display showing political maps of the galaxy. Half the Council's former members are now independent. They are confused, frightened, unsure how to proceed. They need leadership. They need an alternative to Council rule. And you think Earth should provide that leadership? I think Earth has already demonstrated the qualities necessary. You stood up to tyranny. You defended your sovereignty without attempting to dominate others. You exposed corruption while offering peaceful alternatives. Kelleth's metallic skin shifted color slightly. These are the foundations of legitimate authority. Marcus shook his head. We did not fight the Council to become a new empire. We fought for our freedom. Then help us secure our freedom as well, Kelleth urged. Not as rulers, but as partners. Form a coalition of free worlds. Create treaties based on mutual respect rather than fear. Show the galaxy what cooperation between equals actually looks like. Before Marcus could respond, his communication panel flashed an urgent alert. General Torres' face appeared on the screen, her expression grim. Marcus, we have a situation. Our intelligence network picked up classified transmissions from the remaining Council members. They are discussing deployment of something called a system killer weapon. Marcus felt ice form in his stomach. Explain. Diana's image shifted to show technical schematics. It is exactly what it sounds like. A device that can destabilize a star's fusion processes, causing it to go supernova. Effectively destroys an entire solar system in one attack. That is genocide, Kelleth breathed, having heard Diana's explanation. That is desperation, Diana corrected. Vor knows his authority is collapsing. He thinks one massive show of force will bring everyone back in line. Demonstrate that defying the Council leads to extinction. Marcus stood, his mind racing through possibilities. Where is this weapon located? We are working on that. But Marcus, there is something else. The weapon does not just target one system. Our analysis suggests it uses quantum entanglement to create a chain reaction across multiple linked star systems. If they fire it at Sol, it could potentially destabilize a dozen nearby stars. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. They are willing to commit genocide on a massive scale to maintain their authority. They are willing to burn the galaxy rather than admit they were wrong, Diana said. We need to find that weapon and destroy it before they can deploy it. Marcus turned to Kelleth. Does the Draconer Union have intelligence assets in Council territory? Some, Kelleth admitted, but not enough to locate a weapon this classified. They would keep it hidden even from most Council members. Diana's image shifted again, showing a new communication. We just received an encrypted transmission from inside the Thorian hegemony. Someone claiming to be Admiral Theron Crix of their military command. He says he has information about the weapon's location and is willing to share it. The Thorians are still Council members, Marcus said suspiciously. Why would one of their admirals betray that trust? The message includes a personal note, Diana replied. She read from the display. Some of us have waited a long time for someone to stand up to Vorn. Do not waste this opportunity. Marcus made a decision. Accept the transmission. Get the weapon's location. And start planning an assault. Marcus, this is a deep strike into enemy territory. The facility will be heavily defended. Then we bring enough force to overcome those defenses. Contact Captain Vasquez. Tell her to prepare her squadron for immediate deployment. The communication ended. Marcus turned back to Kelleth. Your government just recognized Earth as an independent power. How would the Draconer Union feel about participating in a joint military operation? Kelleth's metallic skin shifted through several colors before settling on a determined bronze. If you are striking at a weapon designed to commit mass genocide, the Draconer will support you. I will contact my government immediately. Within 3 hours, Earth had assembled a strike force. 20 human warships, led by Captain Elena Vasquez, supported by 10 Draconer cruisers and a handful of vessels from other species who had secretly pledged support. It was a fraction of the size of the Council fleet they had defeated, but it would have to be enough that the intelligence from Admiral Crix proved accurate. The system killer weapon was being constructed in a massive facility orbiting a dead star in Korathi territory. The location was strategic, hidden in a region of space few vessels traveled through. Elena studied the tactical data from her command chair. The facility was huge, easily the size of a small moon. Energy shields protected it from orbital assault. Automated defense platforms surrounded it in overlapping fields of fire. And somewhere inside, the Korathi Imperial Guard, genetically enhanced warriors bred for combat, waited to repel any boarding attempt. This is going to be ugly, her tactical officer observed. Yes, Elena agreed. But if we do not stop them, billions of people across dozens of star systems will die. That makes the choice fairly simple. She opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Captain Vasquez. You know the mission. We penetrate the defensive perimeter, land boarding teams on the facility, and disable that weapon before it can be deployed. Many of us will not make it back. I will not lie about that. But we are not just fighting for Earth anymore. We are fighting for everyone the Council is willing to sacrifice to maintain their power. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. History will remember this day. They will remember that when faced with extinction, free people from a dozen different worlds came together to say no. They will remember that we chose to stand rather than kneel. Now let us show them what that choice means. All ships, engage jump drives. We are going in. The fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, racing toward a weapon facility that could destroy entire solar systems. They had 4 hours before the system killer reached full operational capacity. 4 hours to save not just humanity, but potentially millions of other lives in the command bunker on Earth. Diana Torres watched the fleet disappear from sensors. She opened a secure channel to Admiral Crix, who had provided the intelligence. Admiral, this is General Torres. Your information allowed us to mount this operation. I need to know why you are helping us. Crix's face appeared on the screen. He was old for a Thorian, his scales dulled with age, but his eyes still sharp. "General, my people have fought wars for 3,000 years. We conquered. We ruled. We enforced order through strength. I have commanded fleets in 40 different campaigns. I have destroyed worlds that refused to submit to Thorian authority." He paused, his expression heavy with old regrets. "But I have never seen what your captain, Vasquez, did during the Battle of Sol. She was outnumbered, outgunned, facing certain defeat. And she offered us mercy. She risked her own mission to give us a chance to surrender with honor. That is not something warriors do, General. That is something leaders do. So you are helping us out of respect?" "I am helping you because I believe my people and every species in the Council have been fighting the wrong war. We thought strength meant domination. You are showing us it means protection. We thought order required submission. You are showing us it requires cooperation." Crix leaned closer to the camera. "My government does not know I contacted you. If they discover what I have done, I will be executed for treason. But some things are worth that risk. Stop Vorn. Stop that weapon. Show the galaxy there is a better way forward." The transmission ended. Diana stared at the blank screen for a long moment, then pulled up the tactical display showing Captain Vasquez's strike force approaching the weapon facility. 4 hours. Everything depended on the next 4 hours. The Koarathi weapon facility loomed against the backdrop of the dead, star like a monument to destructive potential. Its surface bristled with defense platforms, their weapons tracking the approaching human fleet with mechanical precision. Energy shields shimmered around the structure, creating a protective bubble that could withstand sustained bombardment. Captain Elena Vasquez watched the facility grow larger on her forward display. Her squadron had made the jump successfully, but now came the difficult part, actually getting inside. "All ships, activate combat protocols," she ordered. "Drakener vessels, focus your fire on the western shield generators. Human ships, we are going for a precision strike on the docking ports. If we can punch through before they seal the facility, we can get boarding teams inside." The Drakener cruisers opened fire first, their plasma cannons creating brilliant streaks of light across the darkness. The facility's shields absorbed the impacts, but the concentrated fire began to strain the generator systems. Warning alarms echoed through the facility's command center. Inside the facility, Commander Roth of the Koarathi Imperial Guard watched the attack unfold on tactical displays. His crystalline body reflected the red alert lights, casting fragmented shadows across the walls. "They brought all eyes," his second-in-command observed. "The Drakener are participating in the assault." "It does not matter," Roth replied coldly. "The shields will hold long enough for us to complete the weapon activation. Once the system killer is operational, we can target their homeworlds. They will withdraw or face extinction. The launch sequence is at 90 minutes to full capacity," a technician reported. "All targeting systems are online. Sol system is locked in primary position." Roth nodded. High Chancellor Vorn had given clear orders. Humanity must be made an example. Their defiance had inspired too many others to question Council authority. By destroying Sol, and potentially several nearby systems as collateral damage, the Council would demonstrate the cost of rebellion. Outside, Alana's squadron pressed their attack. The Drakener bombardment had weakened the western shields enough to create a narrow opening. 3 human ships dove through the gap, their weapons firing at the docking port mechanisms. Metal buckled and tore. Atmospheric containment fields flickered and failed. The docking port gaped open like a wound. "Breach successful," Elena's tactical officer shouted. "We have an entry point. All boarding teams, go now." Elena commanded. "Lieutenant Hayes, take your team through that opening. Find the weapon core and shut it down." 6 assault shuttles detached from the human ships, racing toward the open docking port. The facility's point defense systems opened fire, but the shuttles were small and fast, weaving through the streams of energy weapons. 2 shuttles took direct hits and exploded, their crews lost in seconds. The remaining 4 made it through. Elena's ship shuddered as defense platform fire struck their shields. Damage reports scrolled across her display. They could not maintain this position much longer. "Captain," her communications officer called out, "I am picking up a transmission from inside the facility. It is broadcasting on an emergency frequency. Put it through." A holographic image materialized, showing High Chancellor Vorn himself. His crystalline face twisted with rage and satisfaction. "Captain Vasquez," Vorn said, his voice carrying deadly calm, "I admire your determination. Truly, you have demonstrated remarkable courage in attacking this facility. But you are too late. The weapon will reach full capacity in 75 minutes. When it does, I will personally authorize its deployment. Your homeworld will be the first to burn, followed by the Drakenor system, and then any other species foolish enough to support your rebellion." "You are insane," Elena breathed. "You are talking about genocide on a scale the galaxy has never seen." "I am talking about order," Vorn corrected. "For 3 centuries, the Council has maintained peace. Yes, we have enforced that peace through strength. Yes, we have demanded submission from lesser species. But the alternative is chaos, war, fragmentation. You cannot see it, but your defiance has already begun tearing the galaxy apart. I am simply restoring balance. By killing billions of innocent people? By demonstrating the consequences of defiance," Vorn said coldly. "Sometimes harsh lessons are necessary. You humans have a saying about breaking eggs to make omelets, I believe. Consider this a very large omelet." The transmission cut off. Elena stared at the blank space where Vorn's image had been, fury and horror warring in her expression. Then she opened a channel to the boarding teams. "Hayes, we have 75 minutes before this weapon fires. I need you to find that core and destroy it, whatever it takes." Inside the facility, Lieutenant Marcus Hayes led his team through twisting corridors filled with hostile forces. The Kwarathi Imperial Guard lived up to their reputation, fighting with discipline and lethal efficiency. Hayes's team took casualties at every turn. "The core should be 3 levels down," Hayes said, checking his tactical display. "Keep moving." They fought their way deeper into the facility, past automated defenses and entrenched positions. Time ticked away mercilessly. 60 minutes. 50 minutes. 40. Finally, they reached the core chamber. It was massive, a spherical room filled with exotic technology and pulsing with barely contained energy. In the center, the system killer weapon hummed with power, reality. Self-seeming to bend around it, Hayes approached the control systems, his technical specialist already working to access the activation protocols. But as they studied the device, a horrifying realization emerged. "Lieutenant," the specialist said quietly, "this weapon is not just designed to target one system. Look at these quantum entanglement patterns. It will create a cascading effect across multiple stellar masses. If they fire this at Sol, it will destabilize at least 12 other star systems through quantum linkage." Hayes felt ice form in his veins. How many people live in those systems? Billions. Maybe tens of billions. Hayes activated his communication link to Elena. "Captain, we have a situation. This weapon is worse than we thought. If it activates, it will not just destroy Earth. It will trigger a chain reaction that could kill billions across multiple systems." On her ship, Elena made an immediate decision. Broadcast that information on all frequencies. Emergency channels, diplomatic channels, public communications. Everyone needs to know what Vorn is planning. Within minutes, the truth spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The system killer was not a precision weapon. It was an instrument of mass genocide, designed to inflict casualties on a scale that made previous wars look like minor skirmishes. The reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. Even species still loyal to the Council recoiled in horror. Several Council members began transmitting urgent messages to Vorn, demanding he stand down. Public protests erupted on dozens of worlds as citizens realized their own governments had been complicit in developing such a weapon. But Vorn did not respond to the messages. He had committed to his course of action. In the core chamber, Hayes and his team worked frantically to disable the weapon. But the Quarathi had designed it well. Every attempt to shut down the power flow created feedback that accelerated the activation sequence. "We cannot stop it through normal protocols," the specialist said desperately. "The fail-safes are designed to prevent exactly what we are trying to do." Hayes studied the weapon core, his mind racing through possibilities. Then he saw it, a weakness in the containment systems. If they could cause a controlled implosion, instead of allowing the weapon to fire, they could destroy it completely. But the implosion would consume the entire facility. "Captain Vasquez," Hayes transmitted, "I need you to evacuate the boarding teams. We have found a way to stop the weapon, but it requires we destroy the facility's containment systems. The explosion will be massive." "Hayes, that will kill everyone still inside," Elena protested. "I know, but it is the only way to ensure this weapon never fires." "Order the evacuation now, Captain." "That is a direct request." Elena wanted to argue, wanted to find another solution, but the countdown showed 15 minutes remaining. There was no time. "All boarding teams, withdraw immediately. Get back to the shuttles and clear the facility." Hayes's team set charges around the core chamber, carefully positioning them to create a cascading failure in the containment fields. As they worked, Bourne's face appeared on the chamber displays, his expression triumphant. "You have failed, Lieutenant. The weapon will fire in 12 minutes. Your sacrifice is meaningless." "Maybe," Hayes replied calmly. "But you are going to fail too. This weapon will never fire. Not today. Not ever. What have you done?" For the first time, Bourne's voice carried uncertainty. Hayes smiled grimly. "I am ensuring that genocidal madmen like you never get to use weapons like this. The core containment is about to collapse. In approximately 8 minutes, this entire facility will implode. The weapon will be destroyed, and your plan dies with it." Vorn's crystalline face contorted with rage. "You fool. The implosion will kill you and everyone in this facility." "I know," Hayes said quietly, "but billions of people across a dozen systems will live. That is an acceptable trade." The transmission cut off as Vorn realized the magnitude of what was about to happen. He immediately ordered emergency evacuation of the facility, but many sections had been sealed during the combat. Thousands of Quarathi personnel would not escape in time. Hayes activated the charges and opened a final communication to Captain Vasquez. "Captain, it is done. The containment will collapse in 5 minutes. Get your ships clear of the blast radius. Hayes, there is still time. Get to an escape pod. Get out of there." "Negative, Captain. I need to stay here to ensure the charges detonate properly. If the implosion fails, the weapon could still fire." He paused. "Tell my family I did my duty. And tell the galaxy that humanity does not just fight for itself. We fight for everyone." The communication ended. Elena watched through tears as the facility began its death throes. Emergency lights flickered across the structure. Escape pods launched desperately, carrying those lucky enough to reach them. But many more remained trapped inside. The facility collapsed inward, its structure crumpling under artificially generated gravitational forces. The system killer weapon, denied its chance to fire, imploded with a burst of exotic radiation that lit up sensor displays across 3 sectors. When the light cleared, the facility was gone. So was Lieutenant Hayes. So were thousands of others, both human and Koarathi, who had been caught in the destruction. But the weapon was destroyed. The threat was ended. News of what happened spread through the galaxy within hours. High Chancellor Vorn's plan had been exposed. His willingness to commit mass genocide in the name of maintaining order shocked even his closest allies. Within days, every remaining council member withdrew their support. Vorn was arrested by his own people, charged with crimes against sapient life. The Galactic Council formally dissolved. In its place, representatives from 57 different species, including Earth, met to establish something new, the Coalition of Free Worlds. The founding principle was simple: mutual defense and respect for sovereignty. With no species holding authority over another, Ambassador Marcus Webb was appointed, Earth's first representative to the Coalition. His inaugural speech addressed the assembled delegates. We did not ask for this conflict. We did not seek to destroy the Council. We simply wanted recognition as a free and independent people. But in fighting for our freedom, we exposed a system built on fear and enforced through violence. Now we have the opportunity to create something better. A galaxy where cooperation replaces domination, where species work together as equals rather than as rulers and subjects. He paused, looking at the diverse representatives surrounding him. This will not be easy. We come from different worlds, different cultures, different evolutionary paths. We will disagree. We will argue. But if we commit to resolving those disagreements through dialogue rather than force, we can build something that lasts. Not through fear, but through genuine cooperation. The Coalition approved its founding charter by unanimous vote. 6 months later, Captain Elena Vasquez stood on a platform at Coalition headquarters, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. Admiral Theron Crix of the Thorian hegemony personally presented her with the Coalition's highest military honor, created specifically to recognize her actions during the war. Captain Vasquez, Crix said formally, his old voice carrying through the chamber. Your courage and sacrifice saved billions of lives across multiple star systems. But more than that, you demonstrated what leadership truly means. You offered mercy to enemies. You risked everything to protect people you had never met. You showed us all that strength without compassion is just violence dressed in uniform. He placed the medal around her neck, a crystalline object that caught the light from a dozen angles. Then he stepped closer and spoke quietly enough that only she could hear. My people spent 3,000 years conquering and ruling. We thought that was what power meant. You showed us we were wrong. Thank you for that lesson. It came at a terrible cost, but it was a lesson we desperately needed. After the ceremony, Elena returned to Earth, General Diana too. Reyes met her at the landing facility. So what happens now? Diana asked as they walked through the facility. The war is over. The Council is dissolved. We have achieved everything we fought for. Elena looked up at the sky, where stars were just becoming visible in the evening light. Now we do what we should have been doing all along. We explore. We learn. We find out what else is out there in the galaxy. There are rumors, Diana said carefully. Intelligence reports from the Outer Rim. Hints of ancient civilizations that predate anything we have encountered. Mysteries that the Council never bothered to investigate because they were too focused on maintaining control. Then maybe it is time someone investigated them properly, Elena replied. The galaxy is bigger than anyone realized. We spent so much time fighting over who ruled that we forgot to ask what else was out there. 2 months later, Earth launched its first deep space exploration vessel, the EDF Discovery. The ship carried a mixed crew of humans and aliens, scientists and diplomats. all committed to peaceful exploration beyond mapped space. Captain Elena Vasquez commanded the vessel. As the Discovery prepared to leave the solar system, Elena recorded a final message for Earth. For generations, humanity dreamed of reaching the stars. When we finally did, we found not the peaceful cooperation we hoped for, but an empire that demanded submission. We fought for our freedom and won. But winning was not the end of our journey. It was the beginning. The galaxy is vast and filled with wonders we cannot yet imagine. There are species we have never met, worlds we have never seen, questions we have never thought to ask. The Discovery will seek answers to those questions, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as explorers dedicated to understanding the universe we share. We do not know what we will find out there. Perhaps we will discover friends. Perhaps we will face new threats. Perhaps we will find mysteries that challenge everything we believe we understand. But whatever we find, we will face it the same way we faced the Galactic Council, with courage, intelligence, and an unwavering commitment to doing what is right rather than what is easy. She smiled at the camera. Humanity has struck back against tyranny. We have rewritten the rules of galactic civilization. Now let us see what else we can accomplish. Discovery out. The ship engaged its faster-than-light drive and vanished into the depths of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a dozen species. Behind it, Earth continued its rotation, a small blue world that had changed the galaxy forever. Not through conquest, not through domination, but by refusing to accept that might made right, and by demonstrating that even the smallest voice could challenge the loudest authority if it spoke truth. The age of galactic empires had ended. A new age of cooperation and exploration had begun. And humanity, the young species that had started it all, sailed forward into an unknown future with optimism and determination. The galaxy would never be the same. 2. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.